He can't come near you, which he has not. There's no question in my mind that he has not come near you.
The courtroom exploded with nervous laughter when Judge Judy stared at the mountain of paperwork piled in front of Deborah Smith and sarcastically remarked that there were more papers there than in the Supreme Court. For a brief moment, the tension inside the courtroom cracked, but the laughter disappeared almost instantly when Judge Judy locked eyes with Deborah and realized something wasn't adding up. What initially looked like a routine home renovation dispute quickly transformed into one of the most chaotic and emotionally toxic courtroom battles anyone in the room had ever witnessed. Marshall Smith, exhausted and emotionally drained, explained that he had purchased a crumbling 100-year-old house in desperate need of repairs. The roof leaked, the plumbing barely worked, the electrical system was dangerous, and parts of the home didn't even have a proper foundation. Yet despite the house practically collapsing around him, Marshall believed he could rebuild both the property and his life. During that difficult period, Deborah entered the picture through mutual friends. She appeared compassionate, intelligent, and eager to help. According to Marshall, she offered to oversee contractors, manage repairs, and help coordinate the massive renovation project. Vulnerable and overwhelmed, he trusted her completely. Over time, Deborah slowly became deeply involved in every aspect of the house, the workers, the finances, and eventually, even Marshall's personal life. Judge Judy leaned forward with visible suspicion and warned Deborah that if she had secretly worked while collecting disability payments, she could potentially face accusations of fraud. The audience sat frozen as Deborah nervously stumbled through her answers, refusing to explain clearly why her disability benefits had ended. Judge Judy's patience finally snapped. In one devastating moment, she dismissed Deborah's lawsuit entirely and thundered, "You don't hustle me." The humiliation inside the courtroom was immediate and brutal, but the case only grew darker from there. Marshall then revealed that Deborah had been staying inside the unfinished home while the renovation project continued, but according to him, she suddenly vanished for weeks without explanation. During her disappearance, a foul odor allegedly began coming from the room where she had been staying. When Marshall finally entered the room, he claimed he discovered chaos everywhere. Filthy conditions, scattered belongings, missing valuables, old personal items, and stolen property hidden among the mess. Convinced something was seriously wrong, Marshall decided to change the locks on the house. But what happened next shocked the courtroom. Marshall alleged that Deborah returned to the property and, instead of using the front door, crawled underneath the unfinished foundation of the house, entered through the basement area, stormed upstairs, physically assaulted him, grabbed his laptop, and fled the scene before police arrived. Judge Judy immediately demanded the police report, and the entire room fell silent as Marshall handed over documentation of the alleged incident. The case quickly spiraled beyond money or construction disputes and transformed into a disturbing portrait of obsession, paranoia, emotional manipulation, and legal warfare. Both parties accused each other of harassment and stalking, and multiple protection orders had already been filed long before they ever appeared on Judge Judy's show. Deborah claimed Marshall harassed her constantly, while Marshall insisted Deborah repeatedly dragged him into endless legal battles and refused to let go of the conflict. The courtroom became even more chaotic when Deborah attempted to present bizarre evidence involving tiny watermelons with "I love you" allegedly written on them, causing confusion and disbelief throughout the audience. Judge Judy, visibly exhausted by the nonstop accusations and emotional hostility between the two, began realizing that this wasn't simply a disagreement between a homeowner and a contractor. It was the collapse of a deeply unhealthy relationship, fueled by resentment, mistrust, financial desperation, and emotional obsession. At one point, Marshall revealed that another judge had allegedly labeled Deborah a vexatious litigant, a legal term used for individuals who repeatedly file excessive lawsuits and court actions. That revelation seemed to confirm Judge Judy's growing suspicion that the courtroom battle had become part of a much larger cycle of conflict neither side knew how to escape. As the hearing neared its conclusion, the emotional damage on both sides became impossible to ignore. Marshall looked like a man consumed by years of stress, anger, and paranoia, while Deborah appeared desperate to defend herself against accusations that kept growing more serious with every passing minute. Judge Judy finally shut the entire situation down, dismissing the remaining claims and warning that future legal filings might eventually require judicial approval before more proceedings could continue. There was no satisfying victory, no emotional resolution, and no peace waiting outside the courtroom doors. Both parties walked away bitter, angry, and emotionally exhausted, still blaming each other for the destruction that had unfolded between them. And as the courtroom emptied and the shouting continued outside, one haunting truth remained clear above everything else. This entire nightmare had started with trust, but by the end, it had become a toxic war that consumed everyone involved.